Welcome to another edition of Talking Models. Today we're continuing our look at Earthbound Studios' Big Head collection. Today's choice is Curse of the Werewolf, sculpted by Jeff Yagher, and of course expertly molded and casted by Brokaw at Earthbound Studios. This is just a beautiful piece. Jeff captured so much from the bells that, if you remember, up on the clock that were ringing, the look of the clock tower, everything's here. That expression that you've seen from Oliver Reed in the film, just beautifully done. I want to talk a little bit about what I did with it today, but as always I'm going to kind of just spin it around so you can take a look at it and see all of the beauty in the sculpt of this. You can see the clock tower just continues around. You have the famous shirt that he tore on there. All the hair, it's a dry brushing dream from all the fur. Just a beautiful, beautiful piece. So let's start with the base. The base was base coated in black, and then the fun begins building up your colors. So for this one, I came in and just started building up different colors. Lots of rich brown was used, which is the starker color that you see on here. There was transparent dark brown, there was transparent raw umber, and of course transparent black. So basically the whole thing was misted with the rich brown, and then what I did is came back in and just started kind of dulling it all down with the transparent black, and then started just hitting all the folds, different parts of the tower, if you will, with some transparent dark brown. Just kind of anywhere you would have areas that are not standing out, like in here in the crevices. Along the top there's little crevice pieces. Along the bottom here where the two pieces meet. Just anywhere you can find. You just kind of just start shading it. Then I came in and I hit the whole thing with the transparent raw umber, which gives it just a different brownish look. It just kind of gives it almost a not tan, but like a reddish brown. It's just, you'll have to spray it and see. It just really accents the color over the rich brown. Then of course I come back in with the transparent black, hit it again, and then you come back in with your original color, which in this case was the rich brown, and you just start hitting all the areas of the clock tower. Just kind of hit it a little heavier in every spot is what I did. So basically just follow the design of the piece. Each column. Along here with the columns in the center here. Just all the way around. The little column area here where the bell is. And then of course when you do that, you're basically done with it. I mean, if you use different colors, obviously the trick of it is at the end you want to come back in with your original color and just kind of make it stand out. As always, like I talked in a couple of my other videos, I always want the front to be a little bit heavier. That's where I want the impact of the piece. So I go a little bit more freely and more deliberately with the rich brown in the front. Now for the bell areas and everything you see in here, I just came in here and I just basically came in with red oxide and just hit the columns. I just wanted a little bit of a difference. Nothing stark, just a little change from what you did see. And again, I did the same thing with the bell. Went a little bit heavier on the bell with that red oxide because I wanted that to stand out, because that to me is one of the big parts of the film when the bells were ringing and he couldn't take it, and the scene of him being shot, was all up in that bell tower. So to me it's significant to make that stand out. So I hit it a little bit heavier on that. Did the same on the back here in this area. Kind of just hit all that area there with the red oxide. Also the base here where the head sets on was also done in red oxide, and just lightly misted it on the top part. Then of course I came in with the transparent black to kind of tone that down and just left it a little bit starker in some areas. After the transparent black, I just came back in with the red oxide and was a little bit more deliberate, if you will. The sign itself it was simply done with the metallic black for the background. I want it, again, metallic black. Talked about it so just briefly. It's a metallic, but when you hit it with dull coat, the metallic it's gone. So it just gives you a nice difference from regular black, and that's why I like using it. The lettering itself was done with straight up orange, and basically that was Badger Freak Flex. I used their orange from their line of paints and just really love it. It's like a bright orange, and you can see what it does. And then the outer sign around it was basically just a light gray, just hand brushed on. And that was the sign. And that's really all I did with the base. As you can see, it's just pretty straightforward. You want to save all your energy for this guy. So we're going to move on to this guy, Curse of the Werewolf, as portrayed by Mr. Oliver Reed. So for basically this whole thing, the fur and the shirt, if you will, was base coated in black, hand brushed, like I always do. The Delta cream coat, big black, just hand brush away, have some fun. You know, the back of the kit, all the way around. And you'll probably have to do a few coats of that because there is so much detail. You just want to make sure you cover it so when you're done, you don't see them dreaded white spots. You know what I'm talking about. And what I like to do with something like this after I'm done is I like to come back in with some black. In this case, I use transparent black, and then I spray the whole head just to make sure everything is covered. And that way I know there's no little folds. And then sometimes when you get it in the light, you pull it out and look at it and think, oh my gosh, I missed some spots. So you just bring out your black and do it again. So once that was all done, I basically just came in here for his shirt, and I just took some bone white from the Garage US Colors and just started spraying all the way around. And then what you do is you come back in with transparent Payne's Gray, hit all the folds. Just come in, just spray, 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 spray. Hit some of the lines up in here where it meets. Just get a transparent Payne's Gray is just a beautiful shading color for white. It just works. So have some fun with it. And then once you shade, what I like to do, believe it or not, over the white is I hit the whole area with transparent black. And then I come back in with the original color. In this case was the bone white. And just hit all the top of the folds. And I get a little bit heavier in some of the areas. Don't be afraid if you get too crazy. You can come back in with your transparent Payne's Gray. Settle it down in the folds, get some more deep folds and some shadowing, and you can always just lightly spray it with that trans black to bring it back down again. And that was really all I did with the shirt. Now for his fur, that basically is just a dry brushing dream. You know, over the black I just pulled out some gray from the Delta cream coat line, and I just started dry brushing all the way around. You know, it's good for this piece. I left it on the stand and on one of these Lazy Susans. That way you can just keep dry brushing. If you've never dry brushed before, the simple technique, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but you put some of the paint on a nice wide brush, and then you basically wipe all that paint off on a Scott towel. I like to just work it back and forth, until you really barely see anything on the Scott towel. Now you're ready to dry brush. Come to your piece and just start taking the brush back and forth, and you'll just see it the color just pops, and you start seeing all your coloring. So I went around the whole piece with that gray, and then I like to come in with some transparent raw umber, and I spray it over the whole piece just to kind of give it some shadowing. And then I come back in with the original color of gray and just start hitting some spots up if I've washed it out with the wash, no pun intended. And then of course I like to spray the whole thing with the transparent black to tone it all down. With dry brushing, you know, you think oh my gosh, it's just there's too much going on there. Just bring it back down again. It's real. Don't let it freak you out, man. There's so much going on in the world. Don't let this freak you out. You do it to relax. So once you tone it back down, just keep dry brushing. I like to go heavier in the front, like the top here. I call it this Eddie Munster hairline, and just get a little bit heavier as you go around the piece, just so it's, and around the nose, so it stands out and you see that. And that was all I did with his fur. Now his face. For his face, basically I wanted to come in with a little bit different coloring. If you see it in the film, I've seen it many different ways. Like a lot of these tops of his skin is done with a real light flesh. You know, I don't know if that was from the lighting in the film or if that's the way the makeup artist designed it. I've seen many ways that it's done with that, and it looks really cool. So you could easily do that. Just keep lightening up your original flesh color and just hit the highlights. I didn't do that with this piece. What I did over the gray is I just started coming in with Garage US Colors with their flesh. It's called Garage Flesh. And I just started spraying the whole face piece. Then I like to come in with the transparent raw umber, and I hit all the folds of the skin. Then I come back again with the transparent black and hit the folds of the skin. And at that point I like to just mist it over the face, over the flesh color, if you will. And then you just start coming back in, and basically then at that point you go back to a back and forth process. You want to keep it a little bit heavier around his lips area, tips of the nose, the brows. You know, just hit that heavier and then blend it. Hit it, blend it. And then you come back in with your transparent black, transparent dark brown, transparent raw umber, and you start just building up your shadows in the skin. Then I like to come in with the transparent dark brown on this piece, and I hit all up in this where the hairline meets the flesh tone. That's very important that you have from flesh into that color hairline, if you will, and then into your fur. You want to make sure you get that transition down. It does do a lot for the piece, and it just helps bring the realism of your paint job to life. So just it was back and forth till I got, of course you want to go a little bit heavier in the folds just to give that distinct look that he had around the nose, you know, around his mouth area here, you know, just for the anger look. You want to, you know, hit it on each side of the Eddie Munster hairline, so you have that done too. His eye area, basically would come in here with, you could do it many ways. You can do it with some transparent Mars red. You can do it with any transparent dark red. Or you can come in with a pastel and just use some reds and just kind of work your area here. You want to give it that distressed look. Then of course I like to take the transparent black, go a little bit heavier above his eyes just to give it that sunken in look. You want to make him look angry because he was not happy. When he wolfed out, all humanity's gone, and you have the wolf, just like in any Wolfman movie. And that was really all I did. I went a little bit heavier around this area for that deeper distress look with the reds. Now his eyes, I like to come in at the bottom of, just along the bottom of the eye, if you will, with, you like to use, you can use, I don't know, transparent red, any types of red to do it. I prefer red oxide. I just love that color. And I just take a real fine brush and I just paint the bottom of the eyelids and go pretty heavy there with it. That way you've got that anger look from him. The eyes on this was done with Badger Freak Flex Bleach Bone Tan, and basically I just thin it down and I hand brush it on. I go back and forth with Garage US Colors Neutral Gray, which is really good, and the Badger Freak Flex Bleach Bone Tan, which is really good for eye colors. So I just basically painted that area in. Come in on his for his eye color itself, I use the Badger Freak Flex Asphyxia Blue, just a beautiful blue color, light and just boom, stark. Just painted that in for his eyes, and then you come in for the center of his pupil, and I just usually get a fine brush and just do the half crescent moons to get the placement. Then I fill in the center, and then I always come back in with a black pastel to feather the edges on the pupil and also on the eye to give it that natural transition look you see in your eye. Just kind of feather it, blow it off, and you'll get a nice transition. And that's all I did with his eyes. And I did, you can see here toward the edge, you kind of just do a light red pastel along the bottom over your red oxide, just to give it that look of more distressed. And it works. His mouth area, basically here, I just red pastel the lips, red pastel inside where the teeth meet the bottom of the lips, and then I came back in with the red oxide and just painted that area with a hand brush. Just kind of make it, because that's going to be where, anger, he might have some blood in there depending what you want to do with his mouth. His teeth, we're done with the Badger Freak Flex Rotten Tooth Tan. Great color for teeth. Way to go, Ken, over there at Badger. And then just kind of washes with some transparent dark brown. You can use transparent raw umber, anything dirty. Just to dirty his teeth up, because I'm sure he didn't take care of his teeth. I mean, his diet was all over, right? So you just basically go back and forth, you get the look you want on the teeth. And then once you have that done, the skin's done, he's done. Then it's a matter of just coming in and using your gloss coat to give his eyes that water look. A little bit on the teeth. I always like to really go heavy with the gloss just on this area here, so it just looks wet, just like your mouth would if you look down there and it's wet from the saliva. And I'm sure he had a lot of saliva in his bad eating habits, And that is Curse of the Werewolf from Earthbound Studios. To me, one of his, well, they're all good, but this is one of the highlights in the collection for me from their line, is this kit. Jeff Yagher seems to have captured a lot of different Curse of the Werewolf kits, and there's just beautiful kits. He obviously has a gift for this character, and it just excels in this piece from Earthbound Studios. So thanks again today for stopping into Talking Models with Troy Nayard. And we're subscribers, we're climbing. I think as of this filming, I was at 74. I'm trying to hit 100. Would you help me? Help me to get to 100. I would really appreciate that. If you like models and you like seeing paint-ups and you like learning new techniques or different ways of painting your kits, then this channel's for you. As we go through my collection, and I just kind of talk to you what I did. Pick up some pointers and run with them, or say, no, not for me. But at least you're watching something, and some guy, me, talking about models. So thanks again. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and make sure to come back for the next installment of Talking Models with Troy Nayard, and we're going to continue our look at Earthbound Studios Big Heads. So have a great day today, and God bless.